Hello to everyone joining us for this session today. With me, I have Murli Buluswar, who's the head of US Personal Banking Analytics at Citibank. For my viewers, I would like to introduce Murli as a close confidant for many of us. Interestingly, Murli has built a reputation in the financial services and insurance space by balancing analytical rigor with human connections to drive material outcomes. Even in his current role as head of Citigroup's US Personal Bank Analytics, Murli has elevated the function towards leading the next level innovation. Now, prior to Citi, Murli has myriad decorated stints where he worked as a senior advisor with the Boston Consulting Group, chief science officer for AIG, head of insights and innovation at Farmers Insurance, and currently sits on the steering committee for the James Kills Center of Marketing for Booth School of Business. He also serves as an executive in residence at Columbia University. Murli, it's a pleasure and honor to have you with me today, and more so, join us for the LatentView Roundtable on July 14th in New York City. Welcome.
Good morning, Parijat. Thank you for those kind words. It's a pleasure to spend some time with you this morning, and looking forward to our deeper conversation later in July.
Excellent. Great. So let's delve in, Murli. The pandemic pushed us a decade forward, and with the rise of this connected ecosystem, it has forced consumers like you and me to engage across multiple digital channels. Now, in my mind, banking and financial services adjusted and evolved almost overnight, with data being at its center and core. Now, I know you have been a true practitioner for data, and this saga unfolded even beyond the pandemic, right, over the last decade. And as an empathetic truth seeker that you call yourself, you have some amazing constructs that we have discussed on across, the various principles that you leverage analytics for, and especially towards, the concept that you have mentioned about analytics as a product. Now, for our viewers, I would love to hear your perspective, the way you say it, on how do you see this, this learning curve mature in this world of generative AI purely from an insider's lens, Murli?
Gosh, there's a lot to unpack in that question, Parijat. So a couple of thoughts. Number one is when I think about my role, I think about three things consistently. The first item is this notion of how do you balance followership and partnership with leadership, i.e., you recognize that the world is being reinvented through the lens of advanced analytics. How do you bring that sort of innovation and thought leadership in a very pragmatic way, in addition to serving the needs of your internal stakeholders, and in addition to collaborating with them day in, day out, to shape the questions that they're asking and drive next level intelligence. So that's sort of theme number one for me, that's near and dear to me. Theme number two, as you alluded to, is this notion of analytics as a product. Why I care about that is both in my work in insurance as well as in consumer banking, what I've realized is that what is missing in the ecosystem is this ability to build tools and software solutions that can drive large-scale material impact on point decisions that are meaningful in both of the sectors. For example, if you think about deposit pricing, you can actually use your internal data, you can augment that with market pricing and such to build a segmentation to help you understand how different segments of customers might react to different price changes that you might make in CDs and savings accounts and such. But we decided, because we didn't find one in the marketplace to our satisfaction, we built an in-house tool that allows you to simulate scenarios, that allows you to understand what that efficiency frontier is, that allows you to forecast outcomes with a much greater granular intelligence than ever before. So that's an example of what I mean by analytics as a product. And then the third theme that's near and dear to me is making the leap from data and analytics and data science as an activity to decision sciences which for me means taking responsibility for driving end outcomes. And I think about how do you measure those end outcomes through a lens of a CEO, CFO, and head of audit. CEO for me is materiality. CFO for me is financial impact, and head of audit is traceability. So while we might not have accountability for that end-to-end view, I think in order for this capability to have full impact, we have to take on that onus to ask the question, do we understand how this is shaping end outcomes in a way that is driving sustainable value for the enterprise? So those are the three themes we think about. With respect to your question on generative AI, Parijat, the way I think about it is the change is happening in the world around us. Is it happening at the pace that people are getting frenetic about at the moment? Maybe not. But is it inevitable and is it material? In my view, absolutely. In that world, we get to choose as individuals and as teams, as institutions, as to whether we'll be creators of that positive change or whether we'll be at the receiving end of that positive change. I know that for me personally, I want to be at the creation end of it, not the receiving end of it. And by the same token, in order to do that, we have to develop this sort of mindset of constant evolution and adaptation and curiosity and learning and growth through that. So that theme, I think, is important because if you think about the field of generative AI, it can summarize content, it can create content, it can drive conversational intelligence. That is a step change from what we've seen historically. There's an enormous potential. However, in order to fulfill that enormous potential, you have to have this sort of pragmatic mindset of how are you not necessarily going to be enamored by the bright, shiny object, but think about problems that matter that you can solve end to end with a discipline around how you measure success, whether they're financial or non-financial, and take sort of a systems end-to-end approach to it. So that's sort of a big part of what's guiding, an important part of what's guiding my team at the moment is figuring out what is that first wave of material innovation that we could shepherd through the lens of generative AI.
Fantastic, Murli. As I was synthesizing what you were saying, the whole concept of follow, partner, lead, analytics as a product, and then your thought about enterprise leadership of using the CEO, CFO, and the head of audit, and having this curiosity and being at the creator's end of generative AI as a cover around it. That's amazing. Murli, you said it beautifully. I am so excited to have you as a keynote speaker for the roundtable on July 14th. And I'm sure our viewers and attendees will be equally enthralled being part of it. Now, for all of you listening in, it is going to be a fabulous discussion, and we are going to unpack, as Murli rightly said, a lot here, from chaos to clarity and what that means, and the new rules that we have across industries now that the playbook has been modified. Murli, look forward to continue this in New York City, and thank you once again.
It's a pleasure, Parijat. Thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to listening and learning and engaging with a variety of colleagues across sectors, and I'm sure it's going to be a thought-provoking day.
Thank you.
Cheers.